Welcome to West Kentucky Community and Technical College's Cooking at the College. I'm your host, Chef Brett McCarthy, and I want to cook with you. Welcome back to Cooking at the College. I'm your host, Chef Brett McCarthy, and we're going to be making a strawberry shortcake today. But we're going to do a little bit of a twist on that. We're going to actually make a creme anglaise and kind of make a strawberry cream shortcake. We're going to make original shortcake, so that's kind of like a biscuit rather than some of those soft little spongy sponge cakes that you see strawberry shortcakes made out of, or they make them out of cupcakes or something like that. We're going to make a real traditional strawberry shortcake. And I decided to do that because strawberries, of course, are coming in to season. You see them on special right now, and they're very sweet at this time. So this is a good time for you to make strawberry shortcake, or anything strawberry for that matter. But the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to start my creme anglaise sauce. And the first thing that I need is 2 cups of cream. And all I really need to do is just heat that up until it's almost to a boil. I don't want to heat it up too much. It's going to take, a couple of minutes for that to heat up. Now, the process for making creme anglaise is very easy. It takes 4 egg yolks. We're going to mix that with sugar, and of course I'll go over this when we go back over to the table. But we'll whip up those egg yolks and we'll make them real frothy with the sugar. And then we'll add the cream. And it's very critical that we add the cream just at a very steady stream, so that we temper the egg yolks and that the egg yolks won't curdle. So we'll add the cream at a steady stream, and then from there we'll put it back on the stove and we'll thicken it up. So that's really the process. It's very easy. There's a little bit of vanilla in it, but it's really just cream, sugar, eggs, and vanilla. That's all there is to it. So very simple process, not hard at all. We're just going to warm that up. Really, we don't want to bring this to a boil. Now, one thing about cream, and the reason why I'm using a relatively large pot, is that cream will actually boil over very easily. All that fat traps a lot of air. In fact, that's why we use heavy cream to make whipped cream, is it traps all that fat traps all that air, and that's what makes it very light. And so what can happen is it can boil over very easily. It's nice to also, I'm using an aluminum pot, which is pretty standard for our industry, but we have to be very careful because with creme anglaise, we can almost get it a grayish color if we're not careful. So that's why you see me using a wooden spoon. If I used a whisk in here, when I add the eggs, that is, I'm going to get it coloring, and it's actually going to get a gray color. So one of the things that you can do to avoid that is either use a stainless steel pot, or you can use a coated, like a Teflon coated pot, and that'll actually keep it from turning gray. But if we're careful, we can do it in an aluminum pot, and we don't have to worry. And this comes to a boil relatively quickly. It won't take very long at all. Because like I said, the fat holds that heat so quickly, and so we're just going to bring it up to temperature. When we come back, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to whip those eggs just right, and then we're going to temper the cream into the eggs, and then from there we'll return it back to the stove and we'll finish our creme anglaise. So we'll see you back in just a minute. Welcome back to Cooking at the College. I'm your host, Chef Brett McCarthy, and we're going to be continuing making our creme anglaise. And what we have right here is 4 egg yolks, and we also have 1/3 cup of sugar, and we're just going to whip that in there. And we're just whipping it until we get a really nice thick mass. We don't have to. We just want to whip it until it gets a nice pale color. And you can do this with a hand mixer if you wanted to. I just choose to do it by hand, a real hand mixer. So you just want to whip it until you get a nice pale yellow. And you can see even the difference in the color between that which didn't come together with the original, what I was whipping. So I'll just bring that back down. Okay, and that's all there is to it. Now for just a brief moment, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go get that hot milk, that hot cream that we heated up. Okay. And this has really just been heated to about scalding. And just so that this doesn't move around just because I don't have 3 hands or 3 arms, I'm going to go just like that. And we'll just put this in a steady stream. And what I'm doing right now is I'm tempering it, and what I'm doing, I'm equalizing the temperature of the eggs with the temperature of the cream. If I didn't do it, what would happen is I'd actually cook those eggs, and I'd have scrambled eggs. And we don't want that. You see, it's really nice to have that. Now, as I get it more tempered, I can add more cream. All right. Okay. All right, I'm going to put it back into the pot here. And we're going to cook this over the stove, and I'll see you back over the stove for just a minute, and we'll show you how the rest of it is done. So we'll see you back in just a minute. Welcome back to Cooking at the College, and what I have here is the almost finished creme anglaise or custard sauce. And of course you can buy custard powder where all you have to do is add milk to it, but I mean it's so easy just to make it this way, and it's certainly less costly than buying it the instant stuff, I think, that it's worth doing. But as you can see, what I have here, I can get the camera to just pan in on here, is we have it on pretty low heat. It doesn't have to be too high. And what I want to do is bring it to almost a boil, not quite, just till it's starting to bubble. And what that is it's going to coagulate those eggs. And really all we have in here is we have eggs, we have cream, and then we have sugar. That's it. That's all there is. So we're going to just let this come to a boil. Now if you wanted a little bit of a thinner custard sauce, you certainly could do that by just simply using milk or half and half. But I have to caution you that if you use half and half or even milk will have a tendency to curdle a lot more easily. So we have to be a little bit careful with that. Okay, so we're just going to bring that, and then you could just check it to see if it's coming to a boil. And you don't want it to be a heavy boil, just so that it comes to a light boil. And at that point in time, we'll let it cool. Now, there's a couple ways that you can let it cool. You can either just cool it in a container, like a metal bowl or something, or a glass bowl in your refrigerator, or you can cool it on ice. You can put it in a bowl that's in another bowl that has ice in it, and that'll cool it down very quickly. That's what we did today when we made the test batch. We wanted to test this recipe, make sure that it's a good recipe. So you can see this. And like I said, I'm using a wooden spoon, and one of the reasons why I'm using the wooden spoon is so that I don't actually pick up the little fine particles of aluminum and then make this sauce a gray sauce, which is what can happen. You can actually make it a gray sauce. But you can avoid that altogether by simply using a coated sauce pot, like a Teflon coated sauce pot, or using a stainless steel sauce pot. But it's very easy to get a reaction with aluminum, especially if you have a tomato sauce or something like a custard sauce that's very light in color. And that's about it. The next thing we're going to talk about is we're going to actually make the shortbreads. And so we'll see you over at the baker's bench in just a minute. Welcome back to Cooking at the College. I'm your host, Chef Brett McCarthy. Had to think about that for just a moment. And I have 2 cups of flour here. We're going to be making our shortcakes for strawberry shortcake, and I have 2 cups of flour. Very much like making biscuits, but it's a little bit lighter because it has some heavy cream in it, and it also has some sugar in it as well. So it's a little bit lighter and sweeter than a traditional biscuit. One of the things I wanted to show you real quick that I didn't get a chance to show you is this creme anglaise. How you know it's done is it'll come to a boil, it'll actually coat the back of a spoon. And as it cools, it'll get thicker too. So that's what you want, is right there. So just so you know how that's supposed to look. So when we get to that point, just wanted to show you that. Okay, so we're going to put in, we have 2 cups of flour. We're going to add 1/3 of a cup of butter. And it's good to use butter. You know how I am with butter. It's like it's either, if I tell you butter, it's butter. And that's it. Don't be arguing with me. I'm using none of that smart balance stuff. All right. So we'll use that. And we're just going to cut that in. I got my little pastry cutter there. And you want the butter to be pretty cold so that it'll break up. Going to push that through. Sometimes the butter sticks. Okay. Okay, so we're just going to get it so it's broken up quite a bit there. I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of baking powder. I'm just all thumbs, vocally speaking, that is. And we're going to mix that in. All right. We'll add our sugar. This is 1/4 cup of sugar. Put that in there. Okay. And we have 3/4 of a cup. I'm also going to add 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. Forgot about that. Okay. Got 3/4 of a cup of heavy cream. We're going to add that to 1 whole egg that has been lightly beaten. I think when it comes to eggs, I think that's the only time you can get away with saying lightly beaten. I was just thinking about that the other day. You know, you'd never hear on the news, well, the gentleman was just lightly beaten, so he's okay. Anyways, just thought I'd mention that. One of those little things. Okay. So we're going to add that. And it seems a little bit dry, but this is actually just the perfect consistency. I'm going to turn it onto a slightly floured board, just like this. And you can see, just like shortcake, if we were making like shortbread cookies or something like that, it's going to be just a little bit dry. as you knead it. And you don't want to over knead it, you want to just combine it. Okay. All right, so you can see it just as just get rid of all those little excess pieces. I have a nice clean board. See how pretty that is? Okay. And when we come back in a minute, I'll show you how we're going to cut this out. So we'll see you back in just a minute. Welcome back to Cooking at the College, and what we have is our shortbread dough and a little beep from the dishwasher, and that's just telling us that our shortbread dough is ready. So what we'll do is we'll just go out like this, and we want it about a 1/2 inch thick, and we're going to just cut our little shortbreads just like that, and I'm making them nice and pretty with this little fluted biscuit cutter. And I'm also making them relatively large too. Okay, so I'm going to put that back together. You don't want to over knead this dough because it is a very delicate dough, meaning that it can get tough real easily. I'm using all-purpose flour, so that helps a little bit with keeping it a little bit resilient. Okay. Oh, look at that. I bent it a little bit, cheap thing. All right. We spare no expense here at WKCTC. All right, that's a little bit too thick, so I'm going to roll that out again. Hold on for just a second. Okay. I don't think I'm going to I might be able to get one more here. There we go. So we got about 8 right there. And I think this is a good moment to introduce a guest that I invited to the show. Josh, could you come in to camera light here? Josh goes to my church, and he's been a faithful watcher of the show, and kind of goes well with church, doesn't it? Faithful watcher, everything. Anyways. So I thought I'd invite Josh, and I thought he might enjoy participating in the show. And what he's going to do is he's going to make some whipped cream, which will be a part of this dessert. He's actually going to make a strawberry whipped cream, so it should be really good. And so, Josh, why don't you just take it away? You can go over there, and when we get back, Josh is going to take you over to the blender, and he's going to make whipped cream. So we'll see you back in just a minute.
Welcome back to Cooking at the College. I'm your guest, Joshua. And as you can see, he left me alone. How courageous of him, you know? Well, today we're going to be making whipped cream. So to do that, we're going to take a cup of heavy whipping cream, and we'll pour it in the bowl. And then we'll take 1/4 of a cup of sugar, and we'll mix that in there too. And then we'll take strawberry extract, and this is a teaspoon. There we go. Now, we're going to mix this up on about 2. And you want to get just a good mixture of it. We'll bump it up a little bit.
So what you making there, Josh?
Oh, we're making some strawberry whipped cream.
Oh, you did that all on your own while I was away?
True.
Wow. I had to step out for just a minute.
Am I doing a good job?
You're doing a great job. That's wonderful. I think we're going to jack that up now.
Okie dokie.
So what are we looking for?
Looking for a nice texture in it. Just making sure everything nice whipped together.
I think that'll look really pretty with the shortcake too.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Now that with the strawberry, the contrast of the strawberries would be just a light pink instead of your traditional whipped cream that they usually use. I think that'll look really nice. All right. Woo! I'm very impatient.
I can tell.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. And the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering. Okay, so as you can see, I think that looks about right, doesn't it?
Looking good. Got a nice consistency there.
We don't want strawberry butter, we just want whipped cream, strawberry whipped cream. So we're all set.
Looks
okay.
Wonderful.
Well, we're going to start assembling when we get back, and Josh is going to help me out in the last part of the show. And thank you, Josh. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Taking the initiative.
Anytime.
Okay, and we'll see you back in just a minute. Welcome back to Cooking at the College. I'm your host, Chef Brett McCarthy. Very quickly, I'd forgotten to tell you that you have to cook these in a 400-degree oven. These are the little shortcakes that we had. And I did brush them just lightly with a little bit of egg wash, which is 1 egg mixed with about 1/4 cup of milk. And that just gives it a nice gloss on top, and you can see how pretty they are. And Josh is going to help me out a little bit here. Josh, we're going to do what we did the last time, and I'm going to give you a little bit of creme anglaise here.
Okay.
This has been prepared earlier today. And what we're going to do is just spread it out. Okay. And if you just take your raspberry sauce and make the design of your choice, and we're just having a little bit of fun here. Okay, we have a nice little design. And what we're going to do, and again we're short on time, is we're just going to take this and put it right in the center, just like that. And give yours right in the center, just like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We'll take a few strawberries. We'll just lay them out like this. And we only have about 2 minutes, so we got to work very quickly. Just some strawberries just like that. Okay. Take a little bit more of the creme anglaise right like that.
Thank you.
All right. And we'll just take a little bit of whipped cream.
Looks good.
Okay. Just like that. A few more strawberries. All right. And then just a top just like that. And we might even put just a little bit of whipped cream on either side. And there you have it. That's our strawberry shortcake a la Brett with a little bit of strawberry whipped cream. We got fresh strawberries, raspberry, and creme anglaise. And I want to cook with you. Leave my old back at the stove.
You've been drinking a little.
right. We will
How would you-
lightly beat. We will serve.
How would you like to be lightly beaten with the rolling pin?
Yeah. Well, we can switch places.
That would be a treat, I'm sure. We're making hamburger helper today.
That's
You
it.
boil your water.
That's it. Since it is strawberry shortcake, it's probably good to have strawberries. General rule of thumb. She's probably too old.
So I'm fat and I'm old?